Hey guys, it's Corey Saltytruth here, and naturally, Hollywood is still going through their reboot and comic book phase, and I am perfectly fine with that. But today, I want to pitch a movie that should be able to come back now. It's a comic book series that was near and dear to my heart, and it's also a movie that I really did enjoy a long time ago that I do honestly think needs to be a reboot. Now, in the comic book world, before Harley Quinn, there was another crazy badass lady of comic books, Tank Girl. Tank Girl was actually made in the early to mid '80s, and then hit comic book shelves, I believe, by 1988. And in 1995, it was all culminated with a live action film starring Lori Petty, and it was directed by Rachel Talalay. So you had a comic book movie in 1995 with a female lead, and it was also done by a female director. So when people say all those things in reference to Wonder Woman, I honestly don't know what the hell they're talking about saying it's the first. Uh, Not only that, but as much as I enjoyed watching Wonder Woman, it doesn't age very well, and then you start realizing that a lot of it is a regurgitated version of Captain America. But let's save all that for another day. Uh, Tank Girl took place in a dystopian future where water was such a commodity that it was literally used as currency, and if you didn't have water, you were poor. And of course, Tank Girl was poor. She ended up becoming a slave for the company Water and Power. Uh, and in the film, Water and Power's boss is the well-respected Malcolm McDowell, most commonly known from Clockwork Orange. Um, I really do love this film, and even back then in 1994 when it was under production, it was actually a big passion project between the writers as well as the director. And the studio in the beginning was all ready for this comic book movie. They were hyped, they were amped. Then they realized that they had never actually looked at the comic book, which is a really off the wall, ultra violent, and very sexual comic book series. And as soon as they realized what they were getting into, they started pulling back. Not just support for the film, but they were also pulling back financially as well. There's a scene in the film where it was supposed to be a compilation of video of how she rebuilt her and redesigned her tank. But funding was pulled, so what they literally did was take photos of pages in the comic book and put some great music over it to try and give that montage idea. And ironically, it worked out really well. It actually worked out in another scene that was supposed to be live action, but again, money was pulled because they were like, "Well, we don't like all this violence. Change this, that, and the third." I was like, "No, because this is the comic book." So instead of doing the live action version of it, they literally did the scene animated, and it actually looks a lot better. Another interesting tidbit about this film: 1995 probably was not a very progressive time for women in film, especially in comparison to now. And it's also in comparison to now, there was still a very cookie cutter standard for what people wanted women to look like in film and even in comic book. Because let's be honest, when you look at Tank Girl right here, she's not the first woman you think of. This is the first woman I think of because I'm weird. I'm crazy like that. I like stuff that's not normal. But seriously, this film during the filming process, there was also going to be a lot of visual effects. There's a group of characters in this called the Rippers who are supposed to be genetically mutated kangaroo super soldiers. Yeah, I know, it sounds like a lot. And originally, Stan Winston from Stan Winston Studios, the guy behind the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park, the guy behind the design and execution of the Terminators in the Terminator movies, he was scheduled to do the Rippers, but his fee his fee was too high since they had taken back some of that money because they were losing faith in the product. But luckily, Stan Winston was a huge fan of TankGirl, so he took his normal fee and slashed it in half. And he still gave out a one visual product. The Rippers look fantastic. One of them is played by Ice-T. Yes, Ice-T of all people. Yes, Ice-T the rapper. Yes, Ice-T, Law and Order, SVU. This Ripper with dreadlocks right here. Yes. and they looked absolutely awesome. And naturally, the film ended up going off without a hitch. But sadly, it was completely it didn't do well in theaters, and it was panned by most reviewers who didn't know the source material, like most critics were back then when it came to comic book movies. They didn't know or respect the source material, and the source material was graphic in nature. Okay, now if you take another studio like The Mask took a Dark Horse comic that was very graphic and very violent, and they tweaked it. They didn't completely mutate what The Mask was, but they Disneyfied it, if you understand what I'm saying. Because The Mask went from being a killer to being a prankster who didn't kill people, just scared the crap out of them and maybe hurt them just a little bit. But TankGirl kind of stuck to its guns. TankGirl, I would like to say, was the Deadpool of the 90s, the mid 90s. At least the film, because Deadpool was already out as a comic book character then. But you guys hopefully know what I'm saying. But now I believe that since we're sitting in 2018, rated R movies can work again. I think it is time to bring back TankGirl. Now, I've been stooling over the idea of who would play TankGirl for quite some time. And to be honest, I'm still not 100% sure, but my first two picks is Saturday Night Live's Kate McKinnon. Kate McKinnon, who is unbelievably hilarious. We've seen her playing Hillary Clinton over the last 2 years of Saturday Night Live. She was ironically the funny one in 2016's Ghostbuster movie. I think she might be able to fill that role. I also think that if she decided to go back into acting, I know you guys are going to be weirded out when I say this one, Miley Cyrus could actually fit into the role. Or just out of pure irony, the character is Australian, so you could actually get Margot Robbie or even Ruby Rose to play the character. Especially Ruby Rose, since she almost halfway already has the look. If you have an idea, please drop it in the comment section below. But I would honestly like this to be the very first. I want to be the first YouTuber to start the campaign, Make TankGirl Great Again. Oh, TankGirl, you heard it here. It's time to make TankGirl great again. Please don't forget to like, share, and hit that subscribe button. This is Corey Saltytruth Floyd, and all I want to say is, meanwhile, everybody looking at Wonder Woman, give me a girl like TankGirl. Peace and love, everybody.